ElvenWorld Part 2, Chapter 4, Law of Polarity. Anya meets the Earth Elven, Section 14. I see you found her. It was Lou, White Eagle, sitting by the crackling firelight. The rich full moon had risen and shone through the trees. The rain stopped, but droplets still fell from the leaves, splashing on her forehead and catching the starlight to make the whole world sparkle. Come, get warm. We have made a fire just for you. She rubbed her hands by the fire and looked to admire him, so regal, a great king with magnificent white feathers decorating his head, and down his back with wings that were tucked behind him. Beside him sat a large bear man, playing an instrument like a lyre, with a carefully carved wooden frame set with strings. His eyes and lips were all she could see, tucked within the folds of his soft golden beard and fur. His fingers tapped and strummed and moved across the strings. He spoke as he played a gentle song. We know you will not remember, Anya. It is all right. You are safe here. The music comforted her like a lullaby. You will get to know each one of us again in time, Lou explained. This is Angus. Angus strummed and looked up at her tenderly. His somewhat human face was framed with delicate fur. You may approach him, Lou said. She did, and when she kissed him on the face and touched his hair, she felt the softest, most luxurious fur she'd ever known. It made her feel sleepy. Fall asleep in my dream, she thought. Oh, she did feel so very tired. Lou continued. You were once with us for a short time, and as a very small child. So you may remember, Angus. You have the name of your grandmother, Anya, who is known as the goddess of love. She traveled through the cosmos as an ambassador for Earth with her true love, Ekna. Their adventures are forever lore in cosmic history. But you were separated from your parents and raised without any influence of Earth, and without connections to any other cultures. This is why you do not know your parents, and this is why you were kept secluded on the ship. We are sorry you suffered in loneliness when you could have made friends throughout the galaxy. Lou went on. I will explain everything in time, but don't try to understand it all at once. Just listen. So that was why she had been so lonely. Anya pressed her knees to her chest, wrapped her arms around them, and tried to listen as she warmed herself at the fire. Lou continued, hoping his sensible words would calm her. You were told your parents were lost in space travel, but you'll meet them again one day, when it is the right time. This was orchestrated to ensure that you would be raised without undue loyalty toward Earth. Your positions and decisions, they would have been too overwhelming for you to endure. Humanity, I know, it's a mess. That's why I ran away, she thought. For want of a better way to explain it, yes. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Oh, Lou, I have no idea what I can do," she cried. Angus put down his lyre and looked to her, and then took her into his arms, rocking her like a baby. Rest, rest, rest for now. Lou continued. We have joined the nature peoples here on Earth. Bear, eagle, lion, cat, ocean, river, and sky people, and her many more. We speak for the nature peoples of the Earth planet. We stay in animal form to maintain our closeness to the many peoples of Earth, so we can speak with their voices to keep the balance in a misbalanced world. For countless moons we have watched as humanity flew out of control. Many attempts have been made to change the consciousness that allows these violations and ignorance of the way of nature and restore her balance. We have had some success, but many, many failures. We don't expect you to lead, but to join us. We need the voices of Earth peoples, many voices. A Catwoman came and stood beside the fire, her red fur decorating her rich, dark skin and flashing green eyes. "Hello, Bakilla," Angus said. "We're explaining everything to her." Anya suddenly began feeling more refreshed. Bakilla, the Catwoman, didn't seem like someone in whose arms one might cry or fall asleep. She had large, pointed ears, long, wispy whiskers, enormous green eyes, and a very long tail she fluffed and twirled behind her to punctuate her presence and her words. At the end of her long arms she held, at the tips of her fingers, a delicate butterfly. The butterfly shimmered, and the body of a fairy appeared, retaining her most lovely and brightly colored wings. Bakilla, the Catwoman, spoke. "You know us. Even if you don't remember us, we know you." "We made a mistake," Bakilla continued as she moved lithely, flashing her tail in the moonlight. "By we, I mean not just us, but all those considered yet by humankind as extraterrestrial." Angus laughed. "Extraterrestrial, that means off-planet, and here we are. They are so blind." "Yes, well," Bakilla interrupted firmly, "we've given them technology, but recall, there is a free will clause. They choose to be blind." "Huh? It's a free universe?" Anya was confused, though she remembered something about a free will from her visit to the High Council. Yes, in a manner of speaking, humans have free will, and certain individuals try to influence it, the fairy explained as she lighted on Anya's shoulder. Well, who are they? How do they convince people what to believe? Anya asked. Humans are by nature highly suggestible, the fairy whispered in her ear. Highly, snorted Bakilla. At least tell her the truth. How about totally suggestible and add to it egocentric and completely oblivious of others? The fairy woman brushed Anya's curls back from her face, tickling her gently with her tiny fingers. Consider there are many dimensions of reality, and many places beyond what you have seen. There are gravity differences, and reality perception differences, and different sonar structures. Humans only see one dimension, the third dimension. But that is not all there is. It's a real mess, Bakilla sighed angrily and switched her tail. Oh, stop, the fairy fluttered. Can't you see she needs to rest? Lou interrupted. She cannot rest long, Skota. He shook his head gently. Change is imminent. And in fact, it's already happening. She needs some kind of idea of what's going on here so she can help. Yes, I do. I can do it, Anya said. Continue, and nice to meet you, Skota, she said to the pretty fairy, who settled again on Anya's shoulder. Lou shook his head apologetically. Humans have developed weapons enough to destroy the planet, and now attempt to put them in outer space. Many solutions have been tried, but even so, humankind is still facing extinction. I am so sorry. Bakilla stormed angrily. They are raising children in cities made of trash, she blurted. Bakilla, Lou sighed. Please, let me explain it. He looked at her with a frustrated glance. No! Bakilla's eyes flashed yellow. It is a nightmare. Humanity is so confused, children are abandoned and poisoned and animals slaughtered. An avalanche of stupidity and politics and gross excess. Oh, you're going too fast, the fairy cried. Anya shook her head. No, she's not. You might be surprised to learn how much I know. It was true. Often she had felt herself just a flower in a storm, suffering an anxious end to her world. Skota, the fairy butterfly, fluttered before her eyes, but spoke slowly. We have begun working with humans on multiple levels. We have been working to change darkness into light. Right, Lou interrupted her. Now we have no choice but to sit before them stubbornly and say no more. They are a danger to themselves, their planet, and the life forms across the universe. But what can I do? Anya cried out to him. I'm just one person. I'm just a lonely girl trying to run away to somewhere I'm welcome, she thought. Lou tried to console her. With all that is or appears to be evil in this there is, on the other hand, its opposite. At the other end of the same pole, so to speak, is the rightness, the light, and beauty. There is hope. It is a polarity we can access. It is very hard to explain this concept in words because it is not a point of judgment. One end of the pole is not better than the other. North is not right and south evil, and yet in language it is usually explained that way. In each thing is the opposite. Without hatred, we would not know love. Anya felt and looked a little confused. But I don't want hate to exist. It is perhaps easier to understand if you know that it requires 2 or more points to view to create a space. These 2 were once 1. To be 2, they had to separate, and when they separated, space was created. Make sense? Dooby-dooby-doo, Angus teased. Then he sang to her and tried to explain. All we see is an appearance of experience. Without low, there's no high. Without death, there's no life. And if you've never been upside down, you may not know what it feels to be right side up, to be right side up. All we see is appearance of reality. Without low, there's no high. Without death, there's no life. And if you've never been upside down, you may not know what it feels to be right side up, right side up, right side up, right side up. All we see is an appearance of reality. Without low, there's no high. Without death, there's no life. And if you've never been upside down, you may not know what it feels to be right side up.